Hey everybody, it's your buddy Admiral Teague, and I just got done with about the worst 47 minutes of so-called entertainment in my life. I just watched Strange New Worlds Season 3, Episode 4, A Space Adventure Hour, and this was possibly minute by minute stupider and dumber than Section 31. It's just that it was about half as long, so Section 31's still the worst single piece of Star Trek media out there, but this is really competing, nipping at its heels. Alex Kurtzman and his writers have really dug down deep to make sure that this show never achieves any immersion whatsoever, and that the minute-to-minute mind-blowing stupidity has been cranked up to a level that they just weren't capable of doing on Star Trek Discovery. You spend years ignoring your fans, blaming them, and pretending your stories are great no matter what people say. It's probably going to happen. It's ended up being sort of like a unique method of training for this writing staff that just keeps getting worse. Every week, it's a new low, stupider than before. There is no way to achieve any immersion watching this show, even by the most forgiving viewer. They immediately contradict almost everything they say. In this week's train wreck story, Lian Noonien Soong, descendant of Khan, who I just call Connie, is assigned by Captain Pike and Una to check out the new holodeck while the rest of the crew observes a star collapse. But really, this story is just an excuse to go after William Shatner as Captain Kirk and the original series, over and over and over again. This all plays out like a fever dream in one of the writer's therapist's office. I'm telling you, these people have never come to terms with the fact that the audience that they said would show up doesn't exist and never has. They haven't found them in 16 years, they're never going to find them. And they're not backing down. They're going to tell us what's enjoyable. At the San Diego Comic-Con, they put on 5 different interpretive dance shows for a Comic-Con crowd? Just consider that for a second. The people who make Star Trek are trying to sell it at a Comic-Con with interpretive dance? So we got an interpretive dance of this episode I saw. That was one of the 5 stories that they turned into an interpretive dance for Comic-Con. I am going to be going out of my way not to see that video. The story can actually get worse? I don't want to see that. There's no way. Anyway, this all comes across as the writers having a petty tantrum about the fact that their iteration of Star Trek, which was never much like Star Trek in the first place, failed to catch on. It didn't get a new audience, and they deliberately drove off the old audience. The episode is essentially elementary Dear Data, but, reskinned with the same agenda and the same message that we keep seeing from the creators of this particular iteration of modern Star Trek. With writers who only want to do enough research to infuriate us, the idea that they could do meaningful self-satire that might refresh people's view of the franchise is just ridiculous to even consider. That's beyond their ability. They've never achieved good storytelling. How can they do satire? It comes across as self-loathing and shame. These people go and work on Star Trek, a job that most people listening to the sound of my voice would love to have, a job that I once would have loved to have. But I don't think anybody wants to try to go in there and make sense of this. The only way for Star Trek to move forward is for New Paramount to just end the Kurtzman continuity, hive it off, call it its own weird side trek, take the Star Trek name off of it because it's so damaging to the brand, and then just let this cool off for a couple of years while someone competent takes a crack at a good script and a new show. There's nothing more to be said about Strange New Worlds, and I won't be reviewing it anymore because it's not Star Trek. Thank you so much for your time in listening to this review. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit those like and follow buttons if you did, and I'll see you out there.